Markets are continuing to hold steady after a nice little pop yesterday, waiting for more economic data to be released, earnings releases, and then the Fed's response to easing of financial conditions. So it is Fed blackout right now. So we're not going to get any guidance. We might get a leak if the Fed's going to do anything different than 25 basis points, which is kind of what they have telegraphed. Right now, the Dow finished kind of flat, up 0.31, S&P flat, NASDAQ flat, down 0.27. And earnings are starting to come out. Microsoft beats on earnings as cloud unit shows strong growth. So Amazon and Microsoft are killing it in the cloud and doing extremely well with that. And I am actually on the board and a co-founder in a tech startup, a cloud-based cloud services tech startup, managed services, IT, those types of things, and a social platform. So I'll be telling you more about that as it develops. But interesting times for the cloud business, cloud atmosphere out there. There's a lot going on, moving everything into the cloud. So a lot of opportunity there. As far as in the crypto space, an interesting little article here today. The SEC commissioner reiterates the point of crypto as the market aims for recovery. So the Securities and Exchange Commissioner Hester Pierce highlighted that despite a very bad year, there are lessons for the crypto industry to learn. In a speech at the Digital Assets at Duke Conference, Pierce laid down some lessons to be learned from the issues that the crypto industry has faced last year. According to the commissioner, 2022 was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad year for both the crypto space and regulators. However, Pierce believed that there were valuable takeaways from the series of problems that arose last year. She explained, underlying these lessons is the truth that technology takes time to develop and often must combine innovative developments in other fields to realize its full potential. Traditionally, people have looked to centralized intermediaries or governments to solve this problem, but technology like cryptography, blockchain, and zero-knowledge proofs offer new solutions. So in addition to the SEC commissioner underscored that the industry must always keep in mind that crypto is not about driving prices up and dumping tokens to someone else. Well, if that's not what it's about, what is it about? So she's talking about the old rug pull, pump and dump scams, that the underlying technology is about solving a trust problem. So people can interact and transact with other people that they don't know in a trustless system of exchange, peer-to-peer system of exchange. That's what it's all about. So Pierce also said that it's up to the people within the industry to develop crypto's value and value proposition, depending primarily on the builders of this technology, not regulators like her. So it's good to hear regulators say, look, you don't want to rely on me, police yourselves. But that's a very difficult thing to do when you have, you know, a space that's wild, wild west where anything goes and it's all around the world and there is no regulator. And so it'll be interesting to see how this develops, but regulation is a tough thing in a space like this when it can exist virtually anywhere and nobody can really control it. But once we get some clarity, some regulation, and some guidance, that's when more institutional capital come into the space to really ultimately drive the prices of the space. And a lot of them are running for the hills right now, especially the pension funds after the Virginia Education Pension Fund lost $50 million on their crypto play. So a lot of eyeballs on that right now. Here's the Dow Jones kind of trending right now, hanging in this little range here, waiting for earnings, waiting for the Fed as they come up on their meeting at the end of the month, 1st of February. NASDAQ still on the above this trend line, finally broke the trend that it's been rejecting off of. So has the S&P. So the question is, will it pop and drop like it did last time, or will it continue to stay above it like the Dow is doing right now? Same thing with NASDAQ, hasn't really popped above the trend like it has here. So these have been some nice expansive moves. The question is, will there be continuation? The VIX is reaching to lower levels where typically you see reversal in the markets when that happens. The Dixie kind of hanging on right now, reaching, I think, its final little point of a retracement here. So we could expect potentially for the Dixie to retrace. Don't see it breaking that level in the near future, and the 10-year is kind of ranging as well. So if the 10-year breakout, Dixie breaks out, that's going to be a reversal for the markets, which is probably overdue in this range based on the liquidity conditions and financial conditions right now that have eased substantially since the last Fed meeting. And the Fed is not going to be happy about that because they want to get inflation down. If financial conditions are loosening, that does not help with inflation, which is still too high. So here's Bitcoin kind of hanging on this range. trying to consolidate and reach out to this 25,000 level. Ultimately, a lot of shorts getting liquidated here off of these moves. And as people continue to pile into shorts, it's just going to liquidate, pop up for one more attempt to 25K. And then that's probably going to be the end of the road for a while before Bitcoin has a nice retracement, probably back down to about, at first around that $18,000 level to see if that'll hold. And then ultimately back down to that $15,000 range, depending on what else is happening. So the markets right now could potentially be trying to carve in a bottom if the Fed can back off a little bit. So if they can raise, which the market expects, 25 basis points instead of 50, the markets already kind of have that priced in. If inflation continues to come down and the economy remains strong, it's going to make it more difficult on the Fed, with inflation being as high as it is, with the economy as strong as it is, the labor market as strong as it is, because the Fed, without completely destroying the economy, cannot affect the labor market. That's what's keeping prices elevated. So wages need to catch up to that. Interest rates need to come down a little bit, and inflation needs to come down. So it's going to take some time for all this to work out. The Fed is more optimistic. So are some market participants that a soft landing, meaning being able to bring inflation down without crashing the economy, is likely. So right now, that's what everybody's looking at and betting on. So without, like I said, the labor market's the big caveat out there that's going to keep pressure on prices. So until the Fed can do something about labor, I think we've got a little bit of road ahead of us yet with the battle on inflation. So these are the things I'm looking at. If you're new to the channel, I talk about all things entrepreneurship, real estate investing, real estate development, starting, buying, growing, scaling businesses, and generating cash flow through other businesses to invest in other assets. So it's all about building businesses, no matter what it is, to generate cash flow, to invest in other assets, protecting that wealth, and passing it on to generations. So those are the things I talk about on the channel. Comments are off because there's too many scams and things going on out there. I don't want anybody getting caught up in any of that. So until these platforms can figure it out, I'm going to leave the comments off. But that's what this channel is all about. It's all about helping you build your future, create wealth, protect that wealth, and be a prudent fiduciary of everything you've created for future generations. So that's what this is all about. These are the things I'm looking at. I'll see you in the next video.